Zinc Comics presents live from Darshan Studios, Exposition with Brian Payne. Welcome to Channel Z. We're joined in the studio today by Anthony Moore of Limitless Comics, and we're just going to have a quick conversation here for about what he's up to and what he's all about. So, welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you, Brian Payne. Welcome. I feel good. I love it.
Uh, is it Anthony or is it Tony?
I usually prefer Tony because Anthony seems like a business thing. So,
Well, that's
Tony,
why I'm using, that's why I introduced you as Anthony, because
yeah,
all your social media is Anthony, and I want people to be able to find you. So,
yeah, great.
so let's just get into this. How long have you been doing comics?
I'm gonna pretty much say professionally, I've been doing comic books since about 1996. I've been doing about 95.
Was Realms the first book you did, or did you put out another book?
Actually, Realms was my baby from the beginning since 1995.
Okay.
I just started, I've always loved fantasy, and I just started with that one book, but it's been revised so much over the years, the characters and everything, but it's always been Realms for me.
So is this a reboot or a continuation, what you're doing now?
A reboot.
Okay.
It's actually the third reboot.
Okay. So there's two other issues before that you've already put out at this point?
Right, there's the 1996 edition of Realms, and then after that, that was book number one, and then there's another one, 2007 edition of Realms number one, and um, and now there's another Realms 2016.
Okay.
And every time I stopped because of work and it just didn't have a big fan base back in the 90s. Image was running everything, and in 2007 I got into it but kind of fell off with work. But 2016 I really dug in the dirt, and this is it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You and I have similar career trajectories, it seems, and I'm about 6 years older than you, I think. And
Okay.
I came
Right.
out in '91 and put out my first comic book in '93. So, and I had a time in between where I wasn't putting out anything because of work, and I started doing public access TV and stuff. But again,
Oh,
I'm back in it as well. So, and I've been putting out a lot of
yes.
stuff mostly throughout the 2000s at least. So, but now you just did an Indiegogo campaign for this Realms
Ah,
One. And just so
yeah.
people have an idea of what we're talking about here, let's give them a look, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there we go. Now,
Ta-da.
who did these covers exactly? Oh, sorry, I minimized the image and it minimized on the screen. There we go. There we go.
All
Okay.
right.
Who did these covers? Is this your drawing? Is it a combination of people? Because I'm a one man
Yeah.
show, but you seem to have
Ah.
a sweatshop working with you. You got a whole bullpen, So go over what your process and who's doing what and
Okay.
what are we seeing here?
Okay. Well, if you're looking at the picture, and I'll start from left to right, the left one where the creature, the orange creatures on the front cover, that's pretty much all my drawing and inking. And I had a gentleman who lives in Indonesia do the coloring. Iwan Joko, Jookoo. I had him do all the coloring for that. And now, if you look at the middle one, That is Jerry Jones. Actually, I've been friends with him for a while, but I didn't know that he had this skill for creating and details of like the covers. And he did all the logos that you see on all of these books, the banners, everything. He put everything on these covers. So he's the one who put my face on the cover and the background work. Um, I think it's so amazing work with him. He loves to take it as a hobby, but I see this as much more than a hobby.
Yeah,
So
that there, the chunky Hancock cracked me up. I immediately got the reference, and I
thank
once I saw
you.
the picture, I wasn't when you posted that photo, I wasn't sure what you were all about there. But
Mm.
once he threw that tagline in, I was laughing out of my chair.
I still every time I'm looking at it now and I'm like, this guy Jerry, he is amazing. I love the guy. He's doing so much for me with this book that I can never thank him enough. And the good thing is he said he works for Pop Tarts, so I gotta get his shipment to him soon. By the way,
Yeah.
um,
Well, he posted product placement on the cover, so you become an advert for Pop Tarts too.
yes,
Can't beat that.
you can't. That I like that. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Okay. Now let's go with this. The final one on the
hmm
far right there. I really like that cover. Who did that and who
Thank
did
you.
what?
Okay, that once again, I did all the drawing for that, and I was actually going to have it colored. But I know a gentleman who lives in the Philippines named Rudy A.O., the letter A and O, A.O. And he's a painter. And I seen his work and I talked to him and said, just want to give it a shot because I don't know how it's going to look. Because he said he does not draw or paint like superhero, like creatures, fantasy creatures. But I told him to give it a shot and see. So all of that, what you're seeing right now in that cover, was done with brush, with painting right there.
That's really a great cover, I
Th-
think.
th- I, I love that.
Uh,
Whew, wow.
what's his name again?
Rudy A.O.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Salamat Rudieo. You did a good job
Oh,
there.
that I
Uh,
mean, and he's actually working on something for me now. He actually did all of the covers except for these you see in here that are going to be as of variant covers. He did four of these paintings for me, and I can never stop looking at them, and I can never stop thanking them. You know, they say you pay for what you get, and this gentleman, it seems like, oh, yes, I paid for this, but it seems like I'm getting much, much more, my money's worth, when I can look at this cover and just constantly see something new every time I look at it. I love it.
and that
Wow.
you said the logos are done by the guy who did the middle cover,
Right,
correct?
Jerry Jones,
Yeah.
that little creative bumblebee him.
Well, I really like that logo, and I like the fact that it got the Z at the end because here at Zinc Comics and Channel Z, we're all about the Z. So,
All about disease. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So, but I also like that because it's bold and old timey. A lot of new comics they got these thin, spindly uh, logos, and I really like
Right,
the old time ones, the ones
right.
that we grew up with, and
Yeah.
now I didn't grow up reading comics myself. I didn't get into them until I was already a grown man. I read Sunday Funnies and I read Mad Magazine occasionally and a few heavy metals in high school, but I didn't get into
Mhm.
comics until late. So it's not like something I did my entire life, but I got into them after lettering a comic and then gradually moved on to drawing and inking myself. So,
Okay. So
but
you are the one man show, like you say. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
on a necessity. I can't afford good help. You know,
Amen.
Inking has always been uh, my downfall. Like right now, I've got 6 issues drawn, written, and penciled sitting on the shelf, but I can only ink about a page a week. So,
Okay.
here in
Wow.
Alaska, we get a uh, they call it the PFD. It's a permanent fund dividend. You get oil money just for living in Alaska. So I get a little bit of mad
Wow.
money every year. So I'm using it like an
Oh.
art grant to publish 1 issue a year for the next 6 years. I'm hoping to get them out a little quicker than that, but if I get one annually, I'll be happy. And
Wow.
20, 2023 will be my 30th anniversary of being in the biz since I published my first comic, Lost Toys, in 1993. So this
Wow.
is my push towards my 30th anniversary. That's my 5 year plan. So, but
That's a
yeah,
plan.
I always
Wow.
draw the issue because I like to know where it's going, and I don't want my
Yes.
style to change too much in the penciling stage
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
as it goes. And I hope to get better, but right now I'm just an inker, and I'm pretending that these pages were written and drawn by somebody else, and I was hired to ink them. So that's where I'm at, and I'm hoping by the end of 6 issues that my inking skills up their ante, but I ain't holding my breath. But
Wow.
I'm hoping. I always hoped that I could get a real inker. My Tom Palmer
Yes.
to make me look good. But anybody
Oh
who I
man.
would trust to do my inking got their own thing going on, and they charge
Yes.
more than I can afford. So that's the way it is.
Exactly. Now I've dealt with a couple of inkers, and they have really been terrible, and my work looked terrible after they finished it. So, of course, I paid them for their work, but I never put out the material. And now everyone tells me, like, if you see the first cover I did here with the character named Baruch. Um, I did the all the inking and all that, and a lot of inkers message me and says, "Well, your lighting's off, your definition, your depth of your inking," and I say, "Listen, if you want to lend your talents for free, I'm more than happy to take them. But if you're looking for a job, this is the wrong place because I don't have the money." And something that you might have heard me say many a times before, I don't. I love to draw, but I am not. I don't consider myself an A or B level artist. So sometimes I get people who come to me and maybe they're trolling or whatever on the internet, but they go, "Oh, this is garbage. His eyes are misshaped or arms aren't proportioned like that." And I say, "Well, guess what? In my company, they are." So, they get a little, well, I'm not, I'm definitely not going to buy your book. And I'm like, well, thank you for the criticism and your time. But
Right.
I can't afford. I've had artists before, and for some reason, the way I tell the story. I see it in my mind and I see the way I want the pages to be and how I want the characters to look at that moment. And a lot of the pencilers and stuff like that, they can't really grasp, and I hate to tell them, can they draw it again? Can you kind of do this or that? So I just cut out the middleman and just and write drawing the books myself and inking them,
Well, to
you
be
know.
honest, it was your pencil drawings that made me pledge to your Indiegogo campaign because
Wow.
and I don't even know how we became Facebook friends, but I remember you used to do these Facebook lives, and I would always turn them on while I was scrolling through the feed and listen to them while I was doing my morning ritual of Facebook. and I always liked listening to you talk. And then I really got into seeing your drawings, and that's what drew
Wow.
the energy of your sketches is what drew me to your work. And when I started
Wow.
seeing these full color versions, I was like, wait a minute, what's this? But I like too, but I really do like your penciling. So don't let them dissuade your confidence
Wow.
in that part of your game. Um, Now I'm
Wow.
a little
Thank you.
curious because the every time I see you, do you draw full pages or do you kind of draw a panel at a time and then put them together digitally?
Oh, full pages.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually only draw on 8.5 by 11 pages. I just, growing up, like I said, I've been drawing since I've been young. My mother was a secretary for insurance company, and she used to always bring home a lot of work. And I used to look for paper, but we never had none. So I would take some of her papers from her files, and I would flip them over and pretty much draw on them. And that's how I was creating stories and everything. I started drawing on 11 by 17 paper, but for some reason, it just seems too vast. It's too much for me to draw on that paper, and it seems like I leave a lot of empty spaces and stuff. And I just feel like 8.5 by 11 is just more compact and it's better for me to draw on. So
You
I'm
and I
thinking,
again have a similar trajectory. My mom was also worked for an insurance company, and she used to bring me home typing paper, and she would sharpen some pencils at work and bring them home so that I
yeah,
could draw on the kitchen table. So,
yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
thank God for our mothers.
Amen to that. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I mean, and I guess I know I told my mother a year ago. I said, well, now I know why I'm fat because I used to say, she used to show me the paper and the pencils and say, after you finish eating your dinner, you can clean off your side of the table and draw. And my two brothers and sisters, they were sitting at the table with me. I would plow through my food, vegetables and all, because I wanted to draw so fast. And they were like, slow down. And I was like, just going through the food because that paper, I just wanted to get to that paper and the pencil. And I was drawing and they were still eating. Both of them.
Me and my brothers all drew when I was younger, and my oldest brother used to draw these great dinosaurs, and my
Yeah.
other brother would draw like bands. And we would we when we didn't have paper, we would take our record albums, and they used to come in these paper sleeves, the record, and we would cut
Yes.
them with a razor blade and open them up, and they'd be like an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, and we would draw on them. So now our record collection from the old days has no inner sleeves because we drew all over them as kids.
Beautiful. I love that. And, you
Maybe
know,
that's why mom started bringing home the typing
yeah,
paper.
she said, Dad, are they going to mess up my records and my
You're right.
albums? Come on. Um, I was going to ask you, what did you start drawing first of all? Because what was your first love like when you were drawing? Mine was dinosaurs. I could draw Brontosaurus, T-Rex. I was any dinosaur, not monsters, just straight dinosaurs. I did that for maybe a year because I love dinosaurs so
For me,
much.
I was definitely trying to follow my older brother's footsteps because everything they drew I thought was so cool,
Hmm.
and so I would draw pretty much whatever they drew. But I've always been more into portraiture and still life, not so much landscape, but I would draw whatever I saw. But a lot of times it would just be me drawing the room I was sitting in or photographs. I used to draw like, when you
Wow.
were kids, you used to get these uh, sheets that had all your classmates with their school
Y-
pictures. And
Yes.
I would draw those. And but that was what I
Wow.
started out drawing. And when I was a kid, a lot of comic guys, they're into comics and they're like drawing Batman and stuff. But I was
Yeah.
into like Renaissance painters, and I remember seeing Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, and he drew these great drawings and had the backwards handwriting, and I always wanted to do that. So I would, I fancied myself, being a great artist, when I was a kid, not a
Wow.
comicer, not. And so, I had aspirations of being Van Gogh or Leonardo. So, I came down to earth. But needless to say, young Brian Payne didn't lack for uh, confidence.
I love it. He
Anyway,
said,
let's
wow.
get down to brass tacks here. You got a Kickstarter coming up in the next week or so, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes.
this is again for the same thing, the same book you had the Indiegogo for to help add a little income to that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to let everyone know when you do the Indiegogo and you go for the flex funding, make sure that flex funding is you can really do something with it because I went for 4,500 um, and I ended up getting 2,100 um, dollars I raised. I took the flex funding. And then after they took out the fees and the Indiegogo fees and the credit card fees and all of that, I ended up with 18, not even 1790.
Okay. Now,
You know
just
what?
what is flex funding, just so we know what we're talking about? Because this is over my head. I've never ran a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign because
Wow.
so what is flex funding?
Congratulations. um, well, and with Indiegogo, it's an all or nothing. So with Indiegogo, if you pledge for $1,000 and you raise 999, you don't get anything.
Okay.
So that's how they work. With Indiegogo, you can get this thing called flex funding. So if you don't reach your goal, your ultimate goal, you can still get the money that you raised. Whatever the nomination is, you can still get it, and you can work with it with
Okay.
whatever you have. And a lot of people believe if they ask for 4,000 and they get 1,500, it's kind of hard to say give all the money back because you believe that you can still make miracles with that money.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, I went way over my head to the point I was trying to sneak my wife's debit card. But unfortunately, when she got the statement the next month, it was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Ha ha ha ha! I don't know. My name's not PayPal, but
Right.
um, yeah." And then at that point, I had 10 pages more to color, and I didn't factor in the lettering or my editor and proofreader, how much she got paid, and then the printing price came, and I said, "How much for how much? I
Right.
can't do it."
Right.
So now, this Kickstarters I'm doing, it's still for the same products of the Indiegogo, but I actually added in the variant covers, which I should have had before, which
Right.
I didn't do, and I also am having trading cards for this one as well. Um,
Super cool.
and and they're not the cheesy ones; they're really nice trading cards.
Right.
Um, and I also added in an additional 6 pages of story, which the gentleman Jerry Jones has helped me out. Um, with the graphics. I love writing, and I wanted my comic book to feel like a comic book slash novel. So the first 5 pages is story starting from like the beginning and what's going on, and it's going to sum up a lot of things for people. And what Jerry Jones did was take about 5 to 6 paragraphs, put them on the one page, but he used the graphics to make the pages look like old scroll type papers burned at the end, and like when usually when people open up a scroll of papers, kind of, ruggedy, kind of looks stained.
Few
um,
tears, yeah.
yeah, he did that, and he changed the lettering to make it look a tad bit old English like. um, and he added some pictures into it as well from his archive. So it's the pay. I really want to show people, but I just want them to see it when they open the book. So that's why I never showed. I have only showed 2 people, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" And they read it again, and the story, they said that they want more reading, and I said, "Well, you'll get it in the book." But the first 6 pages, or 5 to 6 pages, is going to be reading, and then after the end of the story's done, that's where the comic book's going to pick right up at. You know,
Cool, cool.
so I'm
And
excited.
again, just so everyone knows what we're talking about, there's the Realms covers, the variants that you can get for pledging to Anthony's Kickstarter. And once it goes
Yeah.
live, we will post a link down below so you can find it. Otherwise,
Wow.
just Google Anthony Moore, Limitless Comics Realms
Yes.
Kickstarter, and you should be able to find it somewhere.
Yes.
And
Oh yeah.
so that's gonna be coming out sometime later this year, I assume. Correct?
Well, actually, the Kickstarter is going to start most likely, I believe, on a Friday. I have
Okay.
a gentleman putting it together for me, and I need to get him the video. I've made some major mistakes in the Indiegogo, and I'm actually correcting them now. Um, I didn't have a video really describing and talking. The one I had, unlike you, you have a very charismatic type way of talking, and I can listen to you right up next to Howard Stern. Love listening to you talk. Um, but when I was talking about the Indiegogo, it sounds so robotic, and I was reading off of a paper behind the computer. So you see my eyes going left to right, lower, left to right, left, and it didn't sound good.
Right.
So now I'm gonna be myself. I'm not. I'm just gonna wing it. And Now I have artwork with the stories that they can read. Before I did not have that. I just had splash pages or pages of the book with no dialogue at all. And I believe people were like, "Well, what's this? I mean, who's that? What's this?" And it might look okay, but where's the story? Um, and I didn't have a decent summary of Limitless Comics and what I was planning on doing in the future, um, because I took for granted that everyone who was going to pledge, I already know on my page. And out of the 4,000 friends, members I have, I don't really want to call them friends, um, I only I got 10% of them, basically, not even 10%, no, because only 40 pledged
Right.
out of 4,000. And then when I looked at the Indiegogo breakdown chart, I found out that actually 2,300 people viewed that page. But I guess because I didn't have the right ingredients on the page, only 4 of them pledged. And it
Right.
was, one guy from South Korea, two from Germany, one from Russia, who I did not know. The rest I do know.
Yeah.
And so now I figured I have to do this right. And that's why I'm taking my time. It was supposed to be out today, my Kickstarters, because I wanted to launch it basically Monday, because Monday's my birthday. And I wanted to launch it for my birthday, but I did not want to rush it. So I had to cross my I's, dot my T's, and remember that not only the 40 or 50 people on my Facebook page is going to be looking, but thousands of people who cross Kickstarters every day will be looking as well. And I need to grab their attention.
Well, I
So,
wish you much success with the Kickstarter. I think you've uh, having a little preview there will help this time around. And I recommend everybody check out the Realms and Limitless comics, I should say, and join Team Limitless and Anthony
oh
Moore at
my,
Creating Comics. I think
wow.
that about does it for today. Sound good to you, Tony?
This sounds better than good for me. This was amazing. I just wish we could have done it sooner. And I hope that this will be one of the few more that will be coming out. And I believe, hopefully, I want to tell everyone thank you for tuning in. And the next time I'm on with you, which I don't know how often you do, but if it's after my Kickstarter funding finishes, if I get funded, I would like to come back on your show and I would like to do a couple of giveaways for a couple of people on your show. Send you some packages to send out to people, and especially if you have any repeat listeners or anyone who comments that you really like on your show, like to give them something, a little package, if that would be
Okay.
all right.
We'll keep that in mind. Like I said, they're changing Google Hangouts on my birthday, August 1st. So I'm
Oh
not
my God.
sure how the next new format's going to work. So that's why I wanted to get you on as soon as possible and as close to the start of your Kickstarter as we could.
Oh,
But
well, thank you. Thank you so
okay.
much, Mr. Brian Payne. It was a pleasure. And hopefully, it will be up most likely on Friday night or Saturday morning. The Kickstarters will be running.
Okay, well, don't rush it, but
Hmm.
once you have a link, I will post it below. As everybody knows, when you're doing your own comic books, independent comic books, you need every help you can get, and a little help from your friends always goes a long way. And we're all in the same boat, and it's kind of like we're passing the same $5 around. From one
Yes, yes.
hand to the other. But remember, to support your friends and support the medium. So until next time, that this is Brian Payne and my good friend Anthony Moore signing off. And until we meet again, think Zinc.